Orfield and heading towards Schnecksville. Dad, you remember when there was no lights along here, right?
There were no lights.
There were no lights or field.
You could drive from the Neff's Church and go to Maryland. We would go to Maryland without stopping.
Oh, come on.
There was no stopping. You could go from here, from the Neff's Church stop sign on the Neff's Lorries Road, and drive to 22 with no lights.
Oh my
You get on
goodness.
22, you go to Harrisburg, down 83, there was no stopping from that stop sign. You won't believe that, but that's true.
Wow. And now what if this used to be here?
This used to be Trexler Orchards.
Let's stop here.
Right in here.
Okay.
Where we're pulling in is a Baptist church, and right here is where the main office was for all of Trexler Orchards. Across the street, the cold storage place, that's where the fruit stand was. Trexler Orchards was across the street here, all behind it, hundreds of acres.
On that side of the road, there was all orchards?
It was all orchard on the outside of the road.
Apples, right?
Mostly apples. I think the boss, Eric Lindy, I think he lived in that house right there.
The blue house.
The blue house. Now the fruit stand where they sold all their produce was across the street right here. And Trexler Orchards was all over the back here where the Lehigh County Community College is. All that land was Trexler Orchards. And further up is the Trexler Game Preserve. And back in Low Hill Township was the Trexler Sheep Range. A lot of people don't remember that. But I knew Mr. Hahn, who was the supervisor of that whole thing. He would come into the Neff's farm equipment where I work and get parts for their equipment. But that's what I remember around here.
And you said that right there was an office?
This was the main office for the whole orchards. There were orchards all over, both sides. This was all orchards.
It's all now housing development, right?
Right.
So we're somewhere between Orfield and Schnecksville.
That's right.
Yeah.
We always think of, we don't know where the line is between Orfield and Schnecksville, but we kind of combine the two.
Yeah.
We think of Orfield, Schnecksville, and Neff, so it kind of, where does they start and begin?
Right. So we're approaching Schnecksville. I remember there used to be a house here on the right. Of course, there was no light here, Dad. This was all farmland, right?
This is all farmland. This is all Trexler Orchard to the left and to the right.
All the way up here still.
All the way up here.
Wow.
All the
Now
way up
these
into
houses
Schneck.
here, those are older.
Those are older houses.
But again, none of these lights were here. Of course, there was no warehouse up here in Schnecksville back then. But yeah, I remember when there were no lights here. I remember when there was no light
Over
at
there's the
Sandsbury
college
Road.
now. That was all orchard.
That was orchards too.
That was all orchard.
Oh my gosh, this really was apple producing country.
The orchards were all the way around the back of Schnecksville, right up to the Schnecksville School.
What?
Yep, they surrounded the Schnecksville School was built right inside in the orchard there.
I did not know that. Maybe that's why they brought you apples. You said yesterday that they brought you apples.
That's right. There's Krause's Dodge.
Oh yeah, you said that was the first Toyota dealer in the United States.
Yep,
Is that true?
They became a Toyota dealer, and they were the first one in the United States.
So now we're approaching downtown Schnecksville.
There was Superstore was here.
Oh yeah, I remember that white building.
And
Yeah.
Rice's Drive-In was up here.
That was an ice cream place when
The
I was
ice cream
little.
place?
Yeah.
There was an 8-treat place there that sold sodas.
Yeah, and of course the Schnecksville Elementary is right over there.
And on this corner was Yorkie's Plumbing Supply.
Oh yeah, I remember that being there. Yep. Now this probably looked, I mean, on the right, this was, you know, those are older houses.
Those are older houses.
And this probably looks pretty much the same as it did in the 40s.
Are we going to walk through here?
Yeah, we're going to walk through here later this week. Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk in more detail then. Yeah.
There it goes down to the Trexler Game Preserve.
Yep. That gas station's been abandoned forever. So it's pretty much all of downtown Schnecksville. Our ancestor, Adam Schneck, came to this area in 1757, and he acquired eventually 271 acres just ahead of where we are right now. This area on 873. This area along here was all Adam Schneck's land. And it's now housing and businesses and stores. And we're going to take a little tour of the exterior of the Adam Schneck house, log house. It once stood right here to the left. So here we are at the spot where Adam Schneck's log house once stood. It was right around this spot here. Here's the McDonald's in Schnecksville, and the house is actually right up there in the distance. It was moved in 1994 across the street when Mr. King bought this property from your sister, Ann Kern, and her husband, yep, Roy, who were instrumental in saving the house. They actually made it a condition of sale to Mr. King when he bought this when they bought this land from them, that he would pay to move the house across the street and restore it. So we have the Kerns to thank for the house being saved, and all the people who were involved with the Schneck history, such as Henry Schneck and Curtis Schneck. There were many people involved in saving the house, but the Kerns really were instrumental in making sure that it still exists today. All right, let's go.
Okay, up to the Schneck House.
Up to the Schneck House. So as I mentioned, this was moved over here in 1994. It's so beautiful in the morning. Oh my gosh. What's it like, Dad, for you to look at a house that your ancestor lived in? Like your immigrant ancestor.
So long ago, you don't even think about it. Yeah.
Well, you know, let's get up closer to it. Your ancestor, our ancestor, Adam Schneck, like I said, came here in 1757, acquired 271 acres of land, and this was like a retirement home for him. And it would have started out originally as a 1.5 story log cabin.
Yeah, it would have looked different. I mean, they covered all the logs.
Yeah.
Except the front here, you can see how it looked originally. Beautiful.
So Adam lived here. Adam built this in the late 1700s.
Yeah.
And his son Johann Peter, or John Peter, then acquired it, and he served in the Revolutionary War. And then his son John, or Johannes, he had it, and he was probably the one that added the second story, because he and his wife Maria had 15 children, and so a lot of the Schnecks from this area are descended from Johann and Maria Schneck.
Mm-hmm.
But your great-grandfather David, who was their son, David Schneck, he was born here.
David was born.
So we had 4 generations of Schnecks living in this house. Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
No, it was sitting over here.
It was sitting over there, covered with asbestos siding. Nobody even, yeah, sitting over there. There used to be a really pretty view over to the Blue Mountain, but you can't see it now because of the construction and trees.
Is there anything to see on the other side?
You can see inside there a little bit. Yeah, let's walk over here. Every Pennsylvania Dutch homestead at that time would have had a kitchen garden where the wife grew a lot of herbs and vegetables for the family. And this is one that the president of Upper Lehigh Historical Society, Adam Schneck, who's done a lot of work with his dad to put this together. It's beautiful. We have some bricks here in memory of people who were very instrumental in preserving the Schneck House. And here's a recreated outbuilding. And of course this house had this is a rebuilt chimney and hearth inside, but it would have had a big open hearth for cooking.
Did you see the old store? We used to have one like that in the butcher shop.
No, tell me about it. Let's get closer.
They used to have the big kettles in there, and they would boil the water, and that's where they would butcher.
Did you have that at your house? I know Mom did, but
yeah, we had that at our house too.
Where was it located?
It was across from the house. In the back, there was a separate building that was. We used to do the wash. They did the washing there, and they also did the butchering in that.
Was it open like that?
No, it wasn't open.
It was a closed
building.
What did you call that building?
Well, butcher shop, I guess.
So
And the wash shandy, because they did the washing in that same building.
By hand?
Well, at first, but then they had the old Maytag wringer washers.
But you remember before Maytags?
No.
No.
I don't remember before Maytag.
Okay. But the Maytag was out there?
Yep.
Wow. And how did they get water to it?
Well, we had a spring house.
So you had to carry the water to
yeah.
the Maytag.
And at the farm we had a pump that would pump it.
Oh, okay. Let's get closer to that though. I mean, is this it's like an outside stove. How would that work?
Big kettles that would hang from a chain. It would hang down into the water.
Okay, so yeah, there's a hook.
Here's the front where you put the wood in to heat it.
How old do you think this is?
Oh wow, it's pretty old.
Doesn't have a date on it, does it?
Well, they all look the same. They all look the
You had
double oven.
You had one that looked like this?
We had one that looks just like that. They seem to all look like that.
Oh my goodness. It says Frank Bent's somethingville.
This is
Brunerville Foundry.
Brunerville Foundry.
Lancaster County.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Lancaster County.
Yeah. How about that? I didn't notice. That's great. Love that. That's interesting history, Dad.
Yeah.
See, you know, you're kind of tied to all this. I mean, even though you say, "Oh, this guy lived so long ago," you know, I mean, in a way, it's hard to fathom going back. You know, 8 generations. I'm an 8th generation. You're a 7th generation. But yet, the things that this guy knew, I mean, you still knew.
Well, I appreciate that somebody saved this, that we can have memories now.
Yeah.
We appreciate it more now than when we were a kid.
Well, exactly, because you realize where you came from, and you realize that the skills and all the hard work that they did, like,
right.
You know, part of that lives on in you. I mean, you have the same hard work ethic and thriftiness that, you know, your Pennsylvania Dutch forebears had. I mean, you're probably more like them than you are like me.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, it's just really kind of remarkable to have this piece of history that is still standing all these years later. So we're very thankful to all the people who saved it. Well, let's go over and look at it. The Schneck House sits on land donated by Royce Kern and Annie Schneck Kern to the Upper Lehigh Historical Society. The Kerns were instrumental in saving the house when they sold the land it originally sat upon, requiring the developer to relocate and restore the house. That's pretty cool. Thank you, Adam Schneck. And thank you to all the Schnecks for preserving this little precious part of our history. All right, Dad, on to the next adventure.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Dad, our name is up in lights in this story. Oh, you don't remember what this sign is? Oh, gosh. All right.
Isn't that one up there?
Yeah, look at that.
I'm never in this section.
You're never in this section. Yeah, you don't buy wine and beer. Yeah, look at that. I mean, this is the only place on earth where our name is like in lights that
my.
big. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
I never even looked up there. I don't get back in this section.
You don't buy enough beer, Dad.
That's it.
So we're heading down Mill Road in Schnecksville. This area adjoins the Trexler, what's it called now, Dad? The Nature Preserve, right?
What's that?
It's called the Trexler Nature Preserve, they call it now. When I was young, it was called the Trexler Game Preserve.
Well, it's a Schnecksville Zoo now.
Well, there's the zoo. Well, anyway, we're old. We don't remember what it's called now. But, oh, this is beautiful in here. So, Dad, when you went to the mill, we're actually heading to the mill where, when you were young, your dad brought you along when he was taking his grain to be ground. Is that right?
We had to bring our 100-pound bags of wheat, oats, and corn, and they would grind it up and mix it, and they'd call it mash. It was mainly for the chickens, especially the small chickens. But it was real fine so they could eat it when they were small chicks. But we would come down here.
Did you come down this road?
No, well, we'd come over the other main road. This was a little dirt road.
Okay.
Came in the other way.
Okay,
and,
so we'll go back that way.
It was a 1929 Chevy truck he drove.
Oh, wasn't it? Oh, you had a Franklin car.
Yeah.
But he had a 29 truck.
29 Chevy truck.
Did it have like an open back, like a flatbed?
It was a pickup truck.
I guess it was stick shift, right?
Oh, it was stick shift, all right. Floor shift.
Floor shift.
Yeah, you could park.
Is that the mill right there?
That's it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we'll find a place to park. So now we're approaching it again from a different angle. But we are on, this is called Mill Creek Road. So that is the mill, Dad.
That's it.
And it's now private residence. We'll get out and park.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are. It's really pretty along
My
here.
great uncle's mill.
His name was Raymond?
Raymond, and they call him
Raymond?
Yep, Ramey.
Oh, Ramey.
Yeah, but his name was Raymond.
What was his last
Staley.
name? Staley. He was a Staley. Yeah, your
Yep.
your grandmother was a Staley.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he was my grandmother's brother.
And now, let's get over to the side here, the car's coming. Where did you enter? Like where?
We parked right in the front here, and they had pulleys. They would stand at the front doors. They had 2 stories, You could see him standing at the top sometimes or at the bottom. And then just back up the truck to the dock and unload it like that.
And
Leave
did
it
you
there,
leave
and then
it-
later on come back and pick it up after it was all ground.
Okay. So you never watched the operation?
I never went in.
It had a wheel inside, right?
The big stone wheel that would crush and it was run by the Jordan Creek here.
But it was
had
inside.
a water wheel.
It didn't
big
have.
water wheel inside.
It had a water wheel inside.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it. It might have been outside. Now they covered it up.
Let's
But
walk a
I
little
never
bit.
went in the mill.
Let's
Probably
walk-
was too dangerous.
Yeah. Let's walk just a little bit closer to it.
Okay. I remember their son Louis would help them. Louis had a learning problem, but we were amazed how he could figure out the bill. He was really good at that. Oh, I see.
Look at the Jordan. Wow, that's
Yeah, they blocked us
beautiful.
off. The bridge is in disrepair, so they added this, so we
Yeah.
have less room to go through.
Right. It's not too many people that can say that they remember taking your grain to a mill.
Is
but
that right?
That's pretty cool. Oh, this is lovely along here, isn't it?
This is the Jordan.
And the game preserve is like, this is all like
This goes to the game preserve.
preserved land around here. Oh, wow. Look at this over here. That's just beautiful.
Oh, you can see the second story. The door's up there yet, where they would sometimes hand the feed out, or I remember somebody standing up there, but we'd back up to the dock there, the lower door, and where they would bring the bags of feed out, the grain that was all ground up. No, you're gonna park at the bank.
Yeah, I'm going to pull in here at
The post office.
actually the Schnecksville post office.
Right here.
Yep. Here we are at the Schnecksville post office.
I think that building was the bank. This building here, wasn't that that was the bank.
That was a bank at one time. I believe it was a merchant's. I believe it.
Further up the hill. There was an old building there years ago when I was a kid. There was an old dilapidated building there. They tore that down, and then Rice built his gas station there.
Okay.
And later Bear had that. And this was a Schnecksville store.
Oh, yeah?
It was Moyer's store. Before that, it was Best and Schmoyer. They owned that store.
So what did they used to sell in there?
Well, years ago, you didn't have the malls. The only place you could go shopping was either at the Neff's store or the Schnecksville store. And you would buy paint, you would buy even some clothing. Most of your food supplies, and later on we would go shopping in Northampton before all the malls were built. The first stores that came around Allentown were like two guys from Harrison. Then they started building the malls, but before that you shopped locally in your little towns. You bought everything, your brooms, your whatever you needed, supplies. You'd buy either the Neff's General Store or the Schnecksville General Store.
So you called it the Schnecksville General Store.
Well, it was Best and Schmoyer years ago, this one. And the one in Ness was A.D. Kern.
I remember that one.
You
That
remember
building's
that.
no longer standing. Yeah. Well, let's take a walk down Main Street, Schnecksville.
Right here we have the Lehigh Valley Zoo. Well, that used to be Trexler Game Preserve.
And there were orchards down there in Buffalo.
Yep, it was noted for its buffalo at first. because General Trexler donated all that, and he put a herd of buffalo in there, and that's what they were noted for. This building here, I remember, I think they call it Sadie Klauser's. It was a little store where you could gather together and enjoy ice cream and get snacks. I remember as a kid walking down from school when I had a little change, and you get penny candy here. That was Gus Bold's Buffalo Inn. This was the Schnecksville, the old Schnecksville Fire Company. When I was a boy, we would take our leather items for the horses here to get repaired. There was a Mr. Semmel living here, and he would repair the saddle and whatever leather items that you needed for the horses to hook them up to the equipment.
So you never actually brought the horses here?
No, we never brought the horses here.
But he was the
come
guy
with
that...
our 29 Chevy truck and bring all the items that he needed repaired. There was a brick manufacturing place in Schnecksville here. That's why you see a lot of old brick homes.
Oh, do you know where the plant was?
No, I don't. Now on this corner here, I remember a house. It was a Trexler Orchard house. It was a house and barn. And you'd see these houses all over the orchard, spread around, and all the employees lived in these houses. The houses were maintained the same. When you'd see the house, you knew it was a Trexler house because it was either bluish gray shingles or siding, and it had the yellow trim around the windows and all the trim. So the families lived in there, the full-time workers with their families. And in school, I remember some of the kids who, when they were older in grade school, they worked part-time jobs.
There were hundreds of people probably working for
There were a
Trexler
lot of
Orchards.
people because you had the pack house down there where they shipped all the apples and packed them and sold them at the fruit stand. And all these workers had lived in homes that belonged to the company.
So much traffic through this town. What was the traffic like when you were young?
Oh, not like this.
Not like this.
No.
But you don't ever remember horses on these streets.
No.
Just
No,
maybe
that
on
was-
the country roads.
Yeah.
You'd have horses.
That was a little bit before my time.
So Dad, what kind of Pennsylvania Dutch did you hear on the streets when you were young? Like, what did people say? Like, what were...
Well, when we had family gatherings, that's what they spoke.
Everybody spoke that.
Yeah. Mostly our aunts and uncles, when we get together, they would speak Pennsylvania Dutch. And then there were some funny sayings in Pennsylvania Dutch. They'd say, "Kannst du Mücke vangen met een schubkarre?" That means, can you catch flies with a wheelbarrow? And then the answer, to be funny, would be, "Ja, wanneer ze hocken blijven." That's if they keep sitting. And
What's another expression that they used to say?
I remember as a boy, they took the porch down the old farmhouse and made a modern doorway. And the old carpenter, old Charlie Staley, was there sawing wood. And then he said, "Tweemaal absnitten en nog zu cuts." That meant he cut it off twice and it's still too short. He was trying to be funny, but tweemaal absnitten nog zu cuts. Those sprouts see that dead tree? But
Yeah.
on the top, it's got 6 little trees growing out of it. I just think that's so fascinating.
Well, somebody didn't prune that tree correctly, but that tree is a survivor.
Yeah.
But you said this was an old Schneck house?
That's right, way back.
It was the second house built in Schnecksville, you said?
Yeah. The next one down was the oldest one.
Well,
Oh,
Not this
that
one,
was
but the next one is
they
the
said
oldest
it was
one.
a brick factory here someplace that they made all these bricks.
Yeah, it was in the backyard.
In the backyard here.
Over towards the where the church parking lot is.
You're kidding.
Down in the back there was a brick factory there.
And Schnecks owned that too, huh?
Yeah.
I believe it.
And I had, in the back where my buildings are, there was a farrier. And part of this is two halves. So the old house.
Oh, it's two? Oh, yeah, I see.
There's a line that goes there.
Look at the nice strip. Now, this was all original.
Yep. And 20 years ago, ripped out every pole.
A car hit this.
Took down every pole, broke 2 or 3 windows.
Oh.
And I had a craftsman come in here that did all the Jim Thorpe restorations up there.
Yeah.
He came in and he took pieces of what I had left, and restored it. Yep.
So this is the oldest house in Schnecksville, according to Rick Wright. And his house is the second oldest.
It's all the same stuff. This was the addition side, Darlene.
What's that?
This was the
This was
addition
the addition side.
Okay.
Back here where we're separated.
Oh, yeah. There you can see the separation, Darlene.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the addition went. Right there. And we met a woman here years ago. She was your age then. She said,
You don't know her name.
I don't remember her name now. But she was here. She said her relatives, they had funerals and what they had before a funeral.
A wake?
The wake and everything was in our front room in the house. And they had them there all the time there. And she would stand on the outside the window and look through because she wasn't allowed to go in.
Oh.
So she would peek through the window and
And
look
watch.
at the body in the front there and the
this
people coming to
Family
see.
members? It wasn't a funeral home or anything. It was
No,
just
no,
family
no. It's just
members?
family members because they, like the Amish do now, they have it in their home.
Yeah, right.
And the same thing.
Yeah.
That was a smokehouse there, that building.
Oh,
I still have, there's still the old hooks in there where they used to hang.
oh, is it?
Yep.
Does it have
That's
Does it have
beautiful.
a iron stove that we would push?
Oh, it had a fire from where that little door is on the right.
Yeah.
And forward it there, about 6 feet.
Oh, that
there was
looks like that's right on the line.
there was a
there.
big fireplace in there.
Yeah,
And
like-
they would just leave it open, close all the doors and windows, and smoke the meat with it.
Yeah.
And just let it smoke.
Uh-huh.
The whole building
I
was
remember
covered.
that.
It was
I remember-
black. The
Oh,
whole
my
building
Lord.
inside was black.
So what did you say about speaking German?
There's only one other couple up the street here that speaks German. Yeah, Kathy speaks German.
No,
the dialect.
Yeah, the dialect. Really,
dialect, yeah.
just one.
Just does.
Pause.
Hawes.
Well, of course,
Hawes.
with the name Hawes, of course. But that's just
Hawes.
amazing because, going back to your generation, Dad, everybody in this
Everybody
town.
spoke it.
spoke it.
Almost everybody in
Yeah,
town
almost
here
whole
spoke
street.
it.
Well,
Oh,
my
yeah.
mother used to live.
And they were basically all related. The Reiches, they were all related,
The Bears, the Wrights,
The
the
Bears, the
Wattrings.
Reiches, the Wattrings, the Crisis, the Reiches.
That's why I said we had a farrier in the back, a blacksmith and stuff. He would work on the horses and shoot the
Yeah.
horses and stuff that everybody had.
But now you notice I still have an accent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
talking with Susan at the family dermatologist, and she was saying, I said, where'd you grow up? She said, Weaversville. I said, boy, I'm glad I didn't live in Weaversville because I can't pronounce it. We say Weaversville. We
Yes.
get our Re's and our
Yeah,
Wobbles
Weaversville.
mixed up.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, when we go down there, they're amazed that we can understand their language. They're dressed in their
The
black
same way-
outfits.
Same way with
I
Kathy.
saw one guy though. He was sitting in this hardware store down at Weaver's hardware store. He was sitting
Yeah.
on the bench, and I said to him, "Kannst du Deutsch schwätzen?" He said, "No." I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, you
lot.
knew what I said."
There's a
He
lot
said,
done.
"That's all." He said, "My parents didn't want us to learn Pennsylvania Dutch."
Yeah,
And he
I
was Amish or Mennonite?
And he was dressed like one. He had the black hat on there,
Yeah,
and his
some of them
wife was
don't.
dressed like an old Amish.
Did he?
They would say, "Dumm geboren and
Dumb?
nichts zugelernt."
What does that mean?
Born dumb and didn't learn anything. Didn't learn anything.
Sounds like me.
Well, I'm
Oh,
gonna
kannst
do
du
it.
Meckerfolger?
Oh,
That's
that's
it.
Oh, that's it.
Hockenbleiben.
Hockenbleiben.
What is it?
It's good to
She
hear
knows
some
them
Dutch
all.
spoken here in Schnecksville today.
Yeah, Schnecksville Sunday School.
Do you remember going in there, Dad?
No, I never went in there. No, never went
Do you
in
remember going into any of these houses? Didn't your sister Trudy
Well,
live in one of these houses?
there. The Wrightses used to live along here. Some of the Wrightses.
Schnecksville, Schnecksville, so many years and still going strong. Schnecksville, Schnecksville, I'm headed back home to where I belong.
But the Kerns used to live there.
Who
They
did? Roy
built that.
Kern?
The
and
Roy
built
Kern
it?
Sr. And then Roy Kern built that garage. They had fuel trucks. They would haul, before the pipeline was built, they would haul fuel oil and gas from down at the docks. But when they put the pipeline in over McCungy at Buckeye, that ended that. So then they bought a quarry. They bought a quarry down here a few miles, and they would mine stone. But that was their trucking. They had a big trucking company.
And you say all this is going to be torn down?
Yep. And up here in the corner, they're tearing those houses down. That was the beginning of Parkland Dental. Was J.B. Henninger, was my dentist. This lot here, there was a 2-room schoolhouse, an old schoolhouse. And they tore that down, and there was a gas station here. I think it was a Texaco. I'm not sure if it's Texaco gas station. And I remember Lowell Geiger had that gas station. That was torn down with the pizza shop here, as far as I can see.
When I was little, I remember there was a Gulf station here.
Yeah, it was a Gulf. Lowell Geiger had
'cause I remember I was learning
Gulf.
to read, and
You're right.
I
You're
remember
right.
asking you, does that word say gas? And you said,
Yep.
no, it says Gulf.
Oh, is that right?
I do remember that. I do remember that. So there was a schoolhouse here.
There was a large schoolhouse.
But this
then-
building is not.
But the schoolhouse
Around-
was turned into a restaurant. They called it the Ye Old Schoolhouse Restaurant.
Oh, when was that? In the 40s?
That was back in the 40s.
So this is a new sign. This sign was added pretty recently, don't you think, Dad?
Yeah, that's not real old.
It's nice.
But this
it's
corner
nice
has a
though.
lot of history. This over here was a farm where this Wells Fargo is. That was if I remember, Jimmy Closser farm. There was a house and barns here, and then the land behind it was land that belonged to my uncle. The Bachman,
What was his name?
George Bachman Farmers.
No, but your uncle was.
George Bachman.
Oh, okay.
George Bachman he had this farm, a lot of land around here. And the next farm was my Uncle Mark Schneck. He owned all that land up towards Steps. Then up here you had Bard's Funeral Home. Now it's the Heinzelman Funeral Home. And I was talking to Robert Heinzelman the other month, and he told me his dad was teaching him the business. He said, Robert, around here you don't want to talk about anybody because they're all related.
This was fun today, Dad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
I think it's going to work out all right.
Oh yeah.
I hope I didn't make any mistakes.
Oh no. We'll fix them with the captions.
There's the man that helped us.
Yep. Second oldest house in Schnecksville, right here. And then 2 houses to the left is the oldest house in Schnecksville.
And the seasons, they go round and round, and the faded ponies go up and down. Saturn turn.